GoldBroker.com own real physical gold and silver bars stored outside of the banking system.
Good morning. My name is Dan Popescu, and on behalf of GoldBroker.com, I have the pleasure today to speak with Dr. Marc Faber. Marc Faber is editor and publisher of the Gloom, Boom, and Doom report that you can find on the website at gloomboomdoom.com. He's also the author of a great book, Tomorrow's Gold Age, Asia's Age of Discovery, that I recommend highly. Good evening.
Good morning for you.
Yeah, it's good morning for me and for evening for you. Marc, I would like to start first with the events that just happened today, this week, and also last week. You have a collapse from what technicians call the triangle formation of gold, and also an upside move by the US dollar. And I would like to have your views about it.
Well, everybody always says, I want to buy low and I want to sell high. So I think for me, of course, I own a lot of gold and I need to buy more to keep the asset allocation between 25% real estate, 25% equities, 25% cash and bonds, and 25% gold. I need to buy more. So for me, this is a very happy event. I don't like to buy gold at $1,900 like in 2011. I like to buy it here or lower.
Do you think that it's going to break under the 1,000, that some people say?
Look, the forecasting record of people is horrible. In particular, the forecasting record of the Federal Reserve. So I don't know, maybe it will go below 1,000, but my sense is that it will not stay below $1,000. Can the price of oil go below $50? Yes. It went to $32 a barrel in December 2011, 2008, but it didn't stay there. It then rebounded very strongly. So it's possible that gold goes down. If gold stays down below $1,000 an ounce for a while, many, and I have to repeat, many gold mining companies will go bankrupt. And then the supply dries up. And if gold goes below 1,000, it's a signal that we are in a deflationary environment. So what will the central banks do? They'll engage in even more destructive policies, namely to print more money. And so I would say, as an investor, I would use the current weakness as a buying opportunity.
We had today an announcement actually from the Russian central bank president that Russia could, and I specified could, if needed, sell gold. Do you expect some emerging markets to sell gold?
I don't expect it, but it's a possibility. But in comparison to all the gold that was sold by Western central banks, and they still claim to have these reserves, and probably they don't have it, it wouldn't be a very big amount. But I'm telling everybody, you as an investor and me as an investor, we cannot trust the government. The government, the Treasury departments, and the Federal Reserve and other central banks are all one of the same. I am my own central banker. I keep my own physical gold. And I don't trust any one of these FCKs.
Marc,
this is the fact.
Mark, there has been some articles in the last week concerning the US dollar. There's a triangle formation since 1970, which peaked in 95, 2001. And some people were writing that this is a new major bull market for the dollar and that it will break that upper limit and move very, very high. What's your opinion?
In my opinion, it's a fantasy because the US is not very competitive on manufacturing. We have had a diminishing trade deficit, I agree, but the diminishing trade deficit of the US is not due to manufacturing goods, but it is due to lower commodity prices. And if the dollar gets very strong, and I believe this is the game that is being played, the Fed stopped monetizing. They went through with the taper, but they passed on the ball to the Japanese. So, okay, the dollar gets strong, the Japanese gets weaker. In a few weeks, the Fed will say, oh, the dollar is too strong. We can't stay with a strong dollar. We have to increase the quantity of money. And then it goes on.
Mark, I would like to ask you.
So I don't believe that the dollar will be very strong. But equally, I have to say, if I look at all the currencies, the US dollar, the euro, the yen, whatever you look at, probably the soundest currency is the Singapore dollar. But Singapore, you understand, these countries cannot afford to have a very strong currency because it hurts their economies. So the Fed, by printing money, they can force others to also print money. And that's why I'm saying, personally, of all the currencies I see in the world, there are only 4 currencies I like: gold, silver, platinum, palladium. Nothing else.
Mark, can I ask you now, you lived for the last 40 years in Asia, but you're also Swiss. You went to university in Switzerland. So what is your view?
It's the worst combination, to be Swiss and live in Asia.
What is your opinion? What is your view? How do you see the Swiss gold initiative that's going to take place at the end of the month? How is it going to affect the gold market?
I don't think it will affect the gold market. I'm in favor of the gold initiative, but equally, you have to understand that lots of people, they advance an agenda, and I favor the gold initiative. But I say to myself, I'm Marc Faber. I don't need the Swiss National Bank to own that much gold, and I would suggest that they should all hold their foreign exchange reserves 100% in gold, not just 20%. But equally, I'm saying to myself, I am my own central banker. I own my own reserves in gold, you understand?
Yeah.
And you may say, okay, for the last 3 years, gold has gone down. It's been a bad investment. I do not care. All I know is, and this is a big issue, my gold is mine. It's not a financial asset. You have a bank deposit with someone, say a bank. The bank owes you the money. What about if they don't pay? That is the issue. Whereas I own my physical gold. Now the issue there is the authorities, and I have to say this is a big concern to me. You and I have less and less freedom. You are checked about everything. I am checked about everything. And the governments may one day want to take away your gold and mine. Could be. But I prefer to have some of my assets in gold because I feel that banks have a lot of cash and bonds and stocks and everything. I think the whole system will collapse one day. All of it. It's going to be a disaster. In gold, I'm better off than in these. I own bonds and stocks and everything, but I don't feel comfortable with it. Something is artificial about it.
Could the referendum still, if it passes, have an impact on the way central banks around the world will look at gold?
I doubt they will. They will, in my view, what they will do is like they have been anti-Switzerland for the last 15 years. Why does the US government never go to Dubai? Why they never go to Singapore, to Hong Kong? Because in Dubai, they need Dubai because they have military personnel there. They don't go to Singapore because they have air bases there and surveillance bases there. Well, of course, the Swiss were an easy target. They'll target the Swiss again and put a few people in jail. That I disagree. In Switzerland, a lot of people deserve to be in jail. A lot of lawyers and accountants and bankers deserve to be in jail. But I can tell you in Delaware, in America, and in the US, a lot of people deserve to be in jail as well.
Mark, can I ask you now about China and gold reserves? Again, another topic that there is a lot of speculations. There were a few articles last week about the possibility that the Chinese already have 10,000 tons of gold in reserves. We don't know very much. Some conservative speculation, it's 4,000. How do you see the Chinese playing the gold market and their strategy with the yuan?
Look, you and I and nobody knows exactly how much gold they have because they have the world's largest gold production. We don't know how much they accumulated over the years. But the point is simply this, and this is an important issue. The US was perceived until, say, the 70s as being a benevolent democracy. Over the last 20, 25 years, the US has lost a lot of credibility. At the same time, if you look at Western's GDP as a percent of the global economy, it's been coming down. And China's GDP as a percent of the global economy, including other emerging economies, has been going up a lot. We have today more car sales in emerging economies than in the Western world. Exports of China to Africa are twice the level of exports of the US to Africa. So we have a huge geopolitical change in the world. And what it means is that increasingly countries do not want to only have a US dollar. The US dollar as a world currency will lose its importance the way the pound sterling lost its importance at the beginning of the 20th century, or the Spanish currency in the 16th century, and so forth. This all changes. This is a new world. And my view is not a concern, but this is a fact. The Western world has not woken up that The world today is not the world of the 19th century, when they could send an army and kill a few people and occupy countries and dictate countries to do this and do that and so forth. We are in a new world. The Western world doesn't have the money, nor does it have the will. It doesn't have the will. Now you may say the American army is superior to everything else in the world. Well, that depends. They're mercenaries. They're hired, they're paid to do their jobs. But it's not a patriotic duty anymore. A lot of people in the 60s went to Vietnam because they thought it's the right thing to do. It was the wrong thing to do, but at least they had their heart at their jobs. Nowadays, who cares? You think the soldiers in Iraq care about Iraq, about nation building? Nation building is a crazy idea of the State Department. They're lunatics. It's all about money. You spend money on armies and defense and so forth. A lot of money flows into the Defense Department, into families that are related to all these clowns.
Okay, Mark, sorry, I have, that's all the time that I have allocated. It's always a pleasure to speak to you and to read what you write. And thank you very much again.
I'm sorry.
And wish you a nice evening. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. And to you the same. Have a nice
Bye.
day.